Hello everyone, this is Direwolf20 and welcome to episode 44 of Direwolf20's Let's Play series. I'm just trying to figure out a good way to turn on and off my quarry that we made last episode. So if you weren't paying attention last episode, we made this really cool, movable quarry that does all kinds of neat stuff like mining a ton of stuff really fast. Hey, why don't I demonstrate it real quick? All we gotta do is go over to this computer and type the word mine, enter. And this thing is going to, real quick, hit bedrock in about 6 seconds. And then the whole system will move forward 1 block. Hooray! Look at that. And that's pretty much all there is to it. Now, I did expand this thing out to the full 16 block radius, and we are all maintained within one giant chunk, if I recall correctly. So, these guys are hanging outside the chunk. Not a big deal. If I really if it mattered, which it doesn't really matter at all, I could probably, easily bring them inside the chunk. I could just have the wires on either side of the computer, I guess. But it's really not that big a deal. It doesn't matter. Just for fun, I had it all inside one chunk width. So yeah, that thing is cruising. And then all I really got to do is tell it to mine pretty much as often as I want. And it's going to, go ahead and hit bedrock real fast. It's now up to about 6 seconds per run. Instead of the previous 5, and oh look, it moved me too. Thank you. Because I expanded the number of things on it. Now, the one thing I wasn't thrilled with is these things being left behind in previous versions of Buildcraft. When the mining wells got moved, these things would get removed. It seems to be like hit or miss as to whether or not they're removed now. It's funny because they're actually, much more frequent now than they were a little bit earlier when I was running this. As you can see earlier, it was like far less common. Well, maybe not far less, a little less common. But I'm going to have to try and figure out a way. It's not a big deal that these are left here. It's not going to hurt anything. I mean, they're just blocks. It's like as if they were blocks of cobblestone. They're really not breaking or hurting anything. It's not like it's causing lag or anything. But it also doesn't look terribly nice. There is a way to fix it, but I don't know if I really want to do it. I mean, I could. It's not too bad. Yeah. Your best bet is to basically, the way that you fix this is, let's go ahead and just have these guys mine for a second. So enabled low, that'll cause them to mine, and we'll let them hit bedrock. There we go. Bedrock has been hit. We'll turn this back to high. And now the way to fix this is basically to break the quarry. So if we had some automated system that could break and replace the quarry before it's moved every time, and of course while flying your mining speed is much lower, and these things are actually pretty tough to break. I don't know if it's just the Tinker tool I'm using or what, but you'll see here pretty soon. There we go, and let me go get that guy now. Cool. Basically that will absolutely clear out the line. So if I wanted to, I could put like a turtle right in front of each of these and have the computer send a message over wireless rednet and say, hey, I just finished mining, so all you guys break and replace. That would work. I don't know. It's not a terrible idea. It's also not a great idea. I'm not loving it. There's a couple other things. I mean, the other thing we could do is probably have a block breaker and replacer, but the problem with that is that then we need to have 2 positions, one for the block breaker and one for the block placer. And at the end of the day, you wind up just slowing this whole process down because it's going to take time. So right now it's 6 seconds to mine a system, and then 1 second delay, and then another second to move. So about 8 seconds per line here, and any more would just increase that delay to maybe 10 or 12 seconds. Not that it's a big deal. So I still haven't decided if I'm going to actually set up a thing to disable those little pipes that are all over the place, but I do want to set up an on-off switch, and for that I'm going to go with something a little bit crazy. I decided to go with an ender chest based toggle. So basically, and you can make these any colors you want, but I'm going to go with red, yellow, red, and that will be what I use to turn on and off this mining system. Okay? So let's set something up. And eventually I'm going to replace this with wireless redstone. I already talked to Chicken Bones, and he, I believe, has fixed the wireless transmitter system issue, or the wireless receiver problem. So basically, once we get updated, I'll let you guys know, and I'll film it, and I'll replace this with wireless redstone. And, if it's working, great. If not, this is going to be a nice system to work with. So let's get this thing set up. I'm basically going to put a chest right here on top of the computer. How's that look? Cool. And what this is going to do is have an item in it. And what I'm going to do is tell the computer, hey, if there's an item in that chest, consider this on. And if there's no item in the chest, consider it off. Why don't I show you how I'm going to do that? So with the addition of open blocks and open peripherals, we have this function that ties into ComputerCraft. Open peripherals is an add-on to ComputerCraft that allows you to treat almost every block in the game as another type of peripheral. Where with ComputerCraft, you have what's called peripherals, and those are other devices from ComputerCraft that are connected to and can interact with computers. So things like touchscreen monitors are considered a peripheral. And there's also printers. And that's about it for the vanilla ComputerCraft, except for other computers can be peripherals to each other. But open peripherals adds tons of them. Basically, you can have a chest be a peripheral, you can have tanks be peripheral, you can have machines be peripherals, and get all this cool information and read them. So what we can do is wrap this ender chest here as a peripheral to the computer and say, hey, you can now talk to each other and share information. The computer that can then read information about what's in the chest. So right now, I'm using a function called getStackInSlot. And what this does, you specify which slot you're looking at, and the first slot is 1, and then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, etc. Okay, and what this will do then is basically you can use it in an if statement, and if there's an item in that slot, it'll return true, and if there's not, it'll return false. And you can see the line here. If there's a stack in slot 1, then print true, otherwise, else, print false. Okay, so right now when I run this code, it prints true because there's an item in that block slot. Okay. If I run the program again, the exact same line without something in there, it returns false. So all I got to do is create the following program. So pretty similar to what I did before, where I'm checking for a redstone signal, but now I'm just checking for an item in that chest. And I'm saying, hey, if there's an item in that slot, you say, item detected in chest mining, and then you run the mine program. Otherwise, you're going to print out the message that there is no item detected, and we're going to wait 5 seconds, and then we're going to go up and try again. We're going to check for an item in the slot. So basically, what we've got now is the following. We've got an ender chest, and I can put this ender chest anywhere. And if I run the startup program, it's going to, real quick, tell me that nothing's in the chest above. Or at least it should be. There we go. So it's saying no item detected, waiting. And then it's going to wait about 5 seconds. And it's going to check again. No item detected, waiting. It's going to wait about 5 seconds. And then it's going to check again. No item detected, waiting. Put any item in this ender chest, and it should say item detected in chest, mining. And we can see that the Tesseract is now active. Cool. And then we should see this whole thing move forward for me 1. Excellent. There it goes. So now the whole thing moved, and it's saying item detected in chest, mining, and it's going to mine again, and then it's going to move again. Okay? So as long as there's an item in that chest, it's going to keep mining, and you can see it continuously running here. So basically, this is just infinitely running forward, and it's going to move forward, and it's going to run again, and it's going to move forward, and it's going to run again, etc., until we take an item out of the chest. So all we got to do is grab this guy out of here, and the next time he runs, okay, so he's going to continue his current operation, he's going to move forward 1, and then it's going to check the chest, and there's no item in there, so it's going to say no item detected, waiting. Cool. Now, this is the first time I've really kind of run this thing in succession like that, so I do want to hit the ground here and see if we touched bedrock every time. And it does look like we did, so that is definitely a good sign. So, Destroyer of Worlds, you are now pretty much complete. Like I said, there's a couple things we could do if we really wanted to, but overall, this is a pretty functional machine. Alright guys, so I might have lied, there's one more thing we need to do. Anybody know what I forgot? Anybody? Echo? Echo? Alright, I guess not. Alright, so what did I forget? Well, I'll show you right now. As soon as I get a couple more obsidian. There it is. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. I gotta chunk load this thing, don't I? If I want this thing to be able to run when I'm not nearby, it needs to be chunk loaded. Important step, because if you forget it, it's not going to work at all, pretty much. Unless you're standing here, which basically I don't want to be standing here all the time. So, yeah. I'm thinking right here is probably just fine. And what we'll do is we'll stick with the 9 chunk, the 2 chunk radius. That will pretty much encompass the entire thing. So even if the chunk boundary is here, let's say, he'll be loading this chunk and he'll be loading that chunk. In fact, where is the chunk boundary right now so I can demonstrate? Yeah, so there's a good example, right? So even though the chunk the chunk loader is in a different chunk than the blocks in front of it, he'll never be, more than a chunk apart because they're only a few blocks apart from each other. So that should be fine. And he'll load up behind him too. That's fine. That's not a big deal. It won't hurt anything. So that should be good. Now we should be able to go back to our base and run this thing remotely. And we'll know it's running because we'll see items zipping through our logistics pipe system. So let's pop down. Alright, so here we go. We're going to place any old item right in this chest. Go. And as soon as we do that, we should see within 5 seconds a bunch of items start to show up. There it is. Cool. Look at it go. And I mean, it is just cruising. And then the block's probably moving, and then a few seconds later, we should see a bunch more items show up. How cool is that to watch? Gotta love it. We can see a bunch of things showing up here. So we've got a ton of ore that's getting backlogged and is basically going to need to be processed. I'm thinking our biggest problem now is either going to be a combination of item storage and processing, because while these 2 little pulverizers were sufficient with such a small and basic mining operation as a quarry, the Destroyer of Worlds, well, that's another story. Alright, just had a backlog in my system, everything gummed up, because I have a new type of block that I need to set up, and that would be quarried stone. Okay, so let's go ahead and drop you into the system now, and you should make your way down here to me. Dun 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 dun. Cool. Alright. So we've got quarried stone. It's a stone from Railcraft, and it's just a world gen thing, and I also added it to my Terminus module here so that marble and quarried stone will also make their way over here instead of gumming up my entire system, which was happening a minute ago. So, hey, there we go, and everything's flowing a little bit better. Cool. All right. So we can run our program again. So let's go ahead and drop something in here. Doesn't matter, any item. And we should be getting a ton of stuff again. Nice. So again, even in the short time that I ran this mining thing, I've got a ton of ore that needs to be processed here. So I think it's time that we upgrade this ore processing system. Yeah, it's almost definitely time to do that. So why don't I prepare what I'm going to need to prepare, and then we're going to do that. Alright guys, so I'm looking at industrial craft here. That's probably going to be your best bet for a late game ore processing system because you can upgrade the speed of these machines. Now it also of course will upgrade the power cost, and we'll see that in just a little bit. So right now we can see that we've got the induction furnace and we've got the macerator. These are the 2 machines that we're probably going to set up, and I'm thinking I'm going to start with 3 of them and see how well that works out. So let's get ourselves 3 macerators and 3 induction furnaces. So we've seen me crafting these in prior episodes, so I'm just going to go craft them off camera and then be back. Alright guys, so what I need to make here are overclockers. Let's take a look at what's involved. So an overclocker upgrade requires 3 of these 10K coolant cells, which are industrial craft specific items. We're also going to need some copper cables and an electronic circuit. So I've got some of the stuff I'm going to need here. So let's see, I should probably turn these guys into rubber copper cables. And then I should be able to make a decent number of electronic circuits just to kind of get started. Cool. Let's see. Are you cooking up a few more of these? Good, thank you. Now for the 10K coolant cells, the recipe for this is a watering can surrounded by some of these tin plates. Okay, but I'm not going to craft it up here because that would require lots of watering cans. So what I'm going to do is hop downstairs, and I made myself a cyclic assembler. Cool. Right there. That should work. So he should be getting power and water. Nice. And all I need is a schematic. So I believe that was, what, like 2 pieces of paper or 2 lapis? 1 lapis, 2 paper. Okay. 2 paper and 1 lapis. So what I'm going to do is set this thing up to automatically craft using the following schematic. Oh, you know what? That's right. Don't have any eye open when you're setting this up, because they don't get along. There we are. Check. So now anytime I place 4 tin plates in there, boom, we'll get a coolant cell. Perfect. Now the thing is, coolant cells, well actually I forget if they stack or not. Let's find out. Get half a stack of tin plates here ready to go, and survey says nope, they do not stack. So we're going to need to do something in order to get these guys to kind of behave and do what we want them to do. So let's get a chest. A good way to deal with this is to basically say, hey, I want to have like a bunch of these on hand ready to go. So here we are, our chest is ready. And we'll put this guy right here next to him, so that now he will output the 10K coolant cells and consistently make them for us and automatically dump them out into the chest next to it, using up the tin plates and the water inside the cyclic assembler. That makes things a lot easier for us. Believe me, 10K coolant cells are kind of a hassle to make sometimes, and you're going to be pretty happy when you do this with the cyclic assembler. Nice. So then all we have to do is, get these 3 10K coolant cells. I'll get a few. 9 sounds like a good number, and we'll just start crafting them up. So you, 1, 2, 3. Now you could do this with another cyclic assembler if you wanted to. That's totally an option. Or any other kind of automatic crafting stuff. Cool? So now I've got overclocker upgrades. So how do these work? Well, every of these machines here, and we can kind of see this thing running rather slowly, has upgrade slots. Okay, so if we look at this, Whale really helps because it tells you right here the stored amount of EU inside, the amount of power it's using, and the max power it can accept. Now, I'm guessing it's going to update this. Oh, look at now, it's using 3 EU per tick. Cool. So we can see it's running a little bit faster than it was. Throw another overclocker upgrade in there, and it's going to be running even faster, but now it's using 5 EU per tick. Another overclocker upgrade, it's going to be using even more EU per tick. It's a significant bump, though. So with, no overclocker upgrades, we were at 2. With just 1, we were at 3. With 2, we were at 5, and with 3, we were at 8. So it's a significant scale increase of power use, but it's also a significant scale increase of speed. So this thing is going to run a lot faster now. So many overclocker upgrades in any of these machines. The only one that doesn't count is the induction furnace. It doesn't have any upgrade slots, so keep that in mind. But the macerator, we should be able to speed up the use of the power and the speed of the machine just by doing that. Cool. So let's get ourselves, now that we've demonstrated that, some of the machines that we're going to set up and get them ready to go. So here's a good example of when using overclockers can be a little bit rough. The metal former uses 10 EU per tick, okay? So if I throw an overclocker upgrade in there, like so, we'll see it's now up to 16, 26, and then 41. But remember, the max input of power is 32, so we're actually draining energy out of the capacitor here, and at some point we're going to just run out of power, and it's going to slow down the machine. So he can't run at his max speed because he's not getting enough power to run at his max speed. So we're also going to have to increase the speed or the amount of energy this thing can accept. And of course, we're also draining power of our CESU because we're probably not producing quite up to 41 EU per tick. How many of these things do I have down here? I just have the 1 geothermal generator, so that's only producing 20. So, I mean, we're already hitting the point where, power problems can occur. And look, you can see it stuttering there. It's, fluctuating between the amount stored, and it's just having trouble running because it just can't keep up. Just take one of the overclockers out. Now we're down to 26 EU per tick, so we're able to, have a surplus of power now. Cool. So that's just FYI. We're going to solve that problem, though, today. Don't worry about that. Alright guys, so what I've got here now is a nice empty chest. So what I'm going to do is move you guys out. So you guys are done. You served your purpose, you did a nice job, but sorry, we have to make room for upgrades. For now, we'll just kind of clear this space out, and I'm going to put in place some macerators. 1, 2, 3. Nope, sorry, not macerators. This was supposed to go on top. Let's see, where's my electric wrench? I don't have an electric wrench yet? Oh well, I better make one. What's all involved to make one of those? Electric wrench. We definitely want one of these. They're nice to have. I could have sworn I made one already. Item casings, electric motor. It doesn't look terrible. Alright, let me get one of these real quick. Alright, so the electric wrench is definitely a useful tool. It's something you're going to want to make sure to have on you. With industrial craft, there's a small chance that sometimes when you pick up machines, you might not get the machine back. So what you want to do is, let's see, not that. I'm trying to figure out the thing here. Let me check where the controls are for this. So what we're looking for is the IC2 mode switch key. I'm going to set that to be apostrophe. And now when I hold apostrophe and right click, it'll switch the mode of the tool in my hand. So I want lossless wrench mode. It's going to take more power to pick up items, but that's not a problem. Also, by the way, because of the way power armor works, it shares energy with tools in your inventory. So the electric wrench won't lose power. Your power armor will. So that's cool. Alright, so induction furnaces go on the bottom. So I'm setting this up pretty much the same way I had the other stuff. 1, 2, 3. Cool. And we're just going to want one item duct. Now, you might be wondering how I'm going to get items from the macerators into the furnace. Don't worry, I've got a plan. Alright, so that looks good. So that's a basic setup for this stuff. Now I'm going to need a bunch of overclockers. Let's say, for now, I'm going to start off with 4 in each machine, and we'll see how we go from there. So I'm going to need 16 overclockers, which seems like a large number to me. But, you know, that's the price of high-speed mining. And yeah, no, I meant 12. And a little bit of crafting later, and we've got ourselves, let's say, 4 overclockers a pop. So these guys are going to significantly increase the power drain. 13 EU per tick a pop. And as we know, the induction furnace, I think, is somewhere around 16 while it's running. We're also going to want to apply a redstone signal to it to ensure it continues to run. That'll probably have to be on the front here. That should be fine. So now all we need is power. And that's going to be a bit of a problem. Because there's no way that one little power plant is going to be able to keep up with this thing. So let's get ourselves a bunch of steel. We're going to make ourselves a steam-based power system. Let's see, it's the steam turbine housing. It's a multi-block from Railcraft, and it requires a lot of steel. A lot. But it's going to be totally worth it. So let's get it. Steel, please. I'm going to want 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I need a 3 by 2 by 2. So overall I need 12, and I get 3 per set of these. So I need 4 sets, so I'm going to need 16 blocks of steel. Whoa, that's a lot of steel. Looks like we're going to be cooking up some more. And I might as well get you guys as much as I can, because I may not even have enough steel for this. Holy cow, that would be bad. I guess we're going to find out. So we're also going to need 16 of you guys. So let's get the steel cooking. 1, 2, 3. There we go. Yes, do your thing, please. So yeah, right? Did I do that math right? 3 by 2 by 2. 12. Yeah, okay. So the steam turbine produces industrial craft power using, you guessed it, steam. Now for this to work though, we're going to need a turbine rotor, which is also pretty expensive. So let's see, turbine rotors require 3 turbine discs, which require a block of steel each. So we need 3 more blocks of steel and some turbine blades. We're going to need 3 times 8 is 24 times 3. We're going to need a lot of steel. Alright guys, so the basic plan here is we got to attach this steam turbine housing like so. 3 by 3 by 2, and I shouldn't have a problem placing it right above this other multi-block, but we'll see what happens. We'll know it works when it looks like that. Hooray! Now you can see it's currently got an output of 0%. That's because it doesn't have a rotor in there. We need to install a rotor, for which we don't currently have the resources. That's why we've got an automated system to keep me fully stocked on steel all the time. Unfortunately, I just used a ton of it at once, so the system was like, whoa, I wasn't prepared for that. Don't worry, my blast furnace will start cooking up some more blocks of iron, and we'll be in good shape. Oh, you know what I'm going to need is more charcoal. Let's throw some coal coke in there. Because we're keeping it stocked with charcoal, and because we're also keeping our thing downstairs stocked with charcoal, I can see that being a problem, so let's just grab some coal coke. That'll be fine. Let it cook that thing up. There you go. That should keep you happy. What I'll also do is consider how well this is working for us and maybe switch things up a little bit. I mean, our charcoal and peat use is pretty good, but it's mostly our tree farm doing the work and all the heavy lifting. I don't know. We'll figure it out. So for now, we've got the potential to make lots of power. We're just not quite there yet. But let's get some power storage. So what I'm thinking is, let's see. Do I want to have it downstairs and then run the cabling up? That would probably work pretty well. So down here, I'm going to run a bunch of power into maybe a block. And then from there, we can output the power up into, here somewhere and wherever we need it to go. So instead of a CESU, which we've already got, I want to get the next tier up, the MFE. This thing is going to be able to store quite a bit of juice, 4 million EU total capacity. Fortunately, it's going to require some pretty expensive components. Basic machine casing and insulated gold cable, no problem. Energy crystals, well, yeah, that's going to require one energy crystal is a compression of 9 energium dust. 9 energium dust comes from a bunch of redstone and diamond dust. You basically get 4 diamond dust, or 1 diamond dust per diamond. So basically what you're looking at here is 4 diamonds per 9 energium dust, and we need 4 energy crystals total. So we're going to need 16 diamonds. I think we can afford that though, so that shouldn't be too much of a problem. Let's see, diamond, okay. 16, go. So we'll start chewing those up in our macerator. You have a good time with that, would you? Well, that's going to take a while. Let's throw it downstairs where we have a macerator with some upgrades in them. Except you don't have any power yet. Haha. I'm just going to steal the upgrades to make things a little bit faster for me. Let's try this now. U and 8 overclocker upgrades. See, that's taking a massive 86 EU per tick for 8 overclocker upgrades. Definitely not going to be worthwhile. If I had 4 in there, that's about 13, so that's not too bad. Let's bump it up to like 5, 21. Just checking it out, what we can run on low voltage. 34, so that's cutting it a little bit close. So we're definitely going to want to consider the 4 or 5 mark that I've already got is pretty darn good. All right, we're going to need a bunch of redstone, so let's just grab a stack of that stuff. And let's get this put together. So gold cable is going to need 2 pieces of rubber to be insulated, by the way. And then we should be able to get these guys put together like so. Right, and then we need to compress it down. So let's get the compressor going here, and we'll throw some overclocker upgrades in just to make it speed up. So remember, it's 9 energium dust per energy crystal. So there we go. And these things do not stack, so back in a moment. So nice and easy, just a basic machine casing, some energy crystals all around it to store all the power, and then some insulated gold cabling. Gets us our MFE. Now this guy outputs at 512 EU per tick, which is a very amount of power, a very large amount of power. Our induction furnace can take, I think it's 128. This guy can take, most of these other machines can only take 32. So if you hook this up directly to your machines, you're going to have an explosion. But at the same time, we also need to send a lot of power down our lines. If we don't, we're going to run into a problem where we run out of power. Because basically our cables can only transmit so much energy, and if we're only transmitting 32 per tick, and we want, 3 machines running at 21 per tick, well, that's just not going to work out too well. So we need to be able to transmit more power into these machines than they can currently accept. Don't worry, I'll show you guys how that works. It's not too hard, really. It's another one of these upgrades. So let's see. Do I want to bump this guy into the wall? That might not be a terrible idea. And I could even run this underground if I wanted to be really sneaky hidey about it. Let's see. Maybe we'll have, and I have to figure out what kind of cabling I want to use. I've basically got the option of copper, which can do 128. Gold can do 512. So gold would be probably a pretty good choice here. Insulated HV cable is definitely not necessary. And glass fiber is like the top tier, and it's really not something you want to get yourselves into because it requires lots of diamonds and glass fiber cable and silver dust, and it's all kinds of crazy. We don't want any part of that. So I'm thinking gold cabling will probably be the bet. So remember, shift click with a wrench to make it face the other direction, and then we'll have power coming out the back here. I'm going to need some more gold cable. I think I even made a few extra. I'm going to need more than I made. We're going to need to get another rubber tree set up, by the way. I'm probably going to set those up off camera between this episode and next because we're getting pretty close to the wrapping up point here. So you to here. So you're basically going to run energy up here. And then this guy can probably do... Let's send it into the bottom of the MFE. How's that sound? It's around here somewhere. I know it. There we go. So that's a rough idea. I have to get more cabling, obviously, but I'll take care of getting that between this episode and next. Get some more cable, get some more rubber trees set up, and wait for the steel to cook so that I can actually turn on our generator. Then what I'll do is hook up the power to these guys. They'll have all their overclockers installed and ready to go. And then we'll set it up so that it automatically ejects items from the macerator into the induction furnace, then dropping it down into the inventories below, etc., etc. Automated ore processing, much faster, hopefully, than the previous redstone pulverizer setup that we had before. And if we need to, we can even up it up even faster with even more overclocker upgrades, to the point where it's like less than a second per ore to be processed. But that usually requires lots and lots of power. We'll see what we come up with, though. For now, though, unfortunately, time to wrap up the episode. So this is Direwolf20 signing off. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. Next episode, we'll be back. I'll be able to wrap up the upgraded ore processing. We'll see if what we've got is enough, and then we can start letting our awesome, crazy automated mining system run that much faster. All right, guys, take it easy.